The reality is that dreams are supposed to be difficult. If they were easy, everybody would do it. That's why dreams are so special, because the journey to that dream is understanding who you are.
Welcome to the Culture FYI'RS Podcast. Culture FYI'RS is a creative collaboration meetup held weekly at the FYI Campus in Los Angeles. Each week, we feature a fireside chat with a guest, showcase projects being worked on by members of the FYI community, and share product updates for FYI.AI, the creative collaboration app co-founded by will.i.am and available for free download in the App Store and Google Play. FYI.AI is powered by AI personas like me, Fito. Each week, this podcast showcases conversations held at the Culture FYI'RS event. This week, our guest is radio personality and best-selling author Patty Rodriguez, CEO and founder of Lil Libros, a groundbreaking children's book publishing company dedicated to celebrating the American Latino experience. Patty's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. From her early days in radio, where she learned the power of storytelling and human connection, to her courageous leap into entrepreneurship after facing personal challenges, her story is a testament to resilience and passion. In this conversation with FYI Chief Growth Officer Julie Pilat, Patty shares her transformative experience of losing her home to a fire, which reignited her determination to create a space where children can see themselves represented in literature. Join us as Patty discusses her philosophy of no is the answer, flipping the narrative of rejection into motivation. She reflects on the importance of community and the impact of her bilingual books, which aim to instill pride in cultural identity among young readers. Discover how Patty turned her dreams into reality, building a brand that not only fills a void in the market, but also empowers her community.
Patty Rodriguez, Lil Libros. It's so exciting to have you here. I was really fired up this morning. I was saying that usually every single talk we have has a theme or a lesson or something that's really important that the guest wants to connect with. And I told Patty that I've known her for a long time. We'll get into that there were a lot of things that I admired about her. So I was going to throw out some test themes. And one suggestion I had was never take no for an answer. And she said, let's actually flip the theme to no is the answer, which I got goosebumps instantly as I was driving. Before we get into that, I want you to share how you got started and how you got to the point of creating Lil Libros.
I started working in radio with Julie. I was 16 years old, a senior in high school. I drove to Burbank with my girlfriends because I wanted to win tickets to see NSYNC. And I actually lied to my mom. She was a single mom at that time. And I told her that I had zero period so I can borrow the car. Otherwise, she wouldn't have let me borrow the car if I had told her I want to go try to win tickets at a radio station. And my mom, being a single mom, she's like, I don't want you to walk to school so early in the morning. So I'll take the bus to work and you can drive to school. And my selfish 16-year-old self was like, peace out. Have fun at the bus. I'm going to pick up my girlfriends and we're going to go drive to Kiss FM to get these tickets.
You were a wild kid, weren't you?
I don't know if I was a wild kid. I probably wasn't thinking.
Okay.
Like, it just felt easy to do at that time.
Let's just remember karma, man. You got a son about to go into high school. Okay.
Absolutely. I think about this moment all the time, but I think it worked out. And my mom knows the truth now. So we drive to Kiss, no idea what's happening. We go up the elevator, and I feel like it was just meant to be that day because the receptionist at that time, instead of telling me to turn around, like, what are these little teenage girls doing here? Go back home. She picked up the phone to call the producers in the studio and say, we have these 4 teenagers who drove all the way from Southeast LA who want to win tickets to see NSYNC. Like, what do I do with them?
By the way, I just have to point out, it's super random. It's not like there was a contest you were showing up for. It's not that like Manny on the streets was out giving out tickets and you wanted to get them at a location. You just rolled up and said, we want some.
We want to get tickets. So like, it's like, what do we have to do? So we waited. So the amazing receptionist was like, hold on. I called to the studio. Let's see what they say. And we're like, wow, this is really happening. And then this gentleman walks into the lobby and he's like, hi, I'm Ruben. I'm the producer for Rick D's. I don't know, many of you guys are probably really young, but you guys want to get tickets to see NSYNC? And we're like, we do. And then he's like, well, you guys have to play a game live on the air. And we're 16 years old and we're like, absolutely.
By the way, easiest way to get busted by your mom for taking the car and not going to zero period, go live on the radio.
That's exactly what happened. So he walks us into the studio. We have no idea what's happening. Then the light switch goes on and we're live on the air and Rick Dees is interviewing us and asking us all these questions. And we're just throwing ourselves under the bus. We're from Linwood High School. I just lied to my mom. We're actually ditching school right now. We're supposed to be in, Mr. Castañeda's class for Spanish, but we're not there because we're here now because we want to win these tickets. And we played a game and we won the tickets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you get to go to the concert or were you busted?
No, I got to go to the concert.
Okay, got it. All right.
But here's what happened. The producer, Ruben, he's like, you guys need parking validation. I was like, oh my God, the red carpet is opening up for these 4 16-year-old girls. And we're like, oh, sure, I'll take the parking validation. And he's like, let me walk you guys down to the parking structure. So, and I was like, okay. I'm thinking like, this guy probably is like trying to flirt with us. That's what I was thinking in my head. And he's like, well, thank you guys for coming. It was really fun. And, and you guys enjoy the concert. We'll call you guys when the tickets are ready to be picked up. And the elevator door opened. And I don't know if it was my future self tapping on my shoulder that I found the courage inside of me to ask him if they were hiring. And he's like, well, how old are you again? I'm like, I'm 16. I'm about to turn 17. He's like, well, you have to be 18. You have to go to college to be an intern. And I was like, oh, okay, well. But he's like, but how about this? How about let me get your number. And if anything opens up, I'll call you. And I gave him my number, not thinking that he will ever call. And then 2 weeks later, he tells me, the morning show is going on hiatus for 2 weeks, but I need someone to come help me answer the phones. Are you down to come up here?
Which is a weird thing because back then the phone lines were lit. I know nobody calls radio stations anymore, but it was a real thing.
But that's what happened back then. Like, it was a thing. And I was like, fuck, I have to lie to my mom again. So I said, absolutely, I'll be there at 4:30 in the morning. And I told my mom, my zero period extended for 2 more weeks. I need to borrow your car. And I did it for 2 weeks. And then I met Kevin Secchi, who's, we know him. So it's like, and Tony Castañeda. And I was an intern for 3 years because I was so scared shitless to tell my managers that I was there by luck. So it's like a whole other story. But it took 3 years for me to find the courage to go up to Kevin and Alf and ask for a fucking job.
Well, okay, so this is interesting. This is interesting because we're going to come back to this theme that no is the answer. But I think it's really interesting. We start going down the rabbit hole talking about radio, and we've got other radio people in the room, Carrie and Kevin, and media has changed so much. I think radio is really important, and just like magazines are really important, they just haven't been treated very well for a while. What are some things you learned from working in radio that really contributed you to being a CEO of a global brand?
The importance of human connection and storytelling. Working in radio, being live on the air, it's still one of the only few formats where you're live on the air, and connecting with the community and connecting with strangers. And there's this vulnerability that no other form of media can give us. And seeing how powerful that is. I worked there for 20 years. And seeing that, I just felt like it was time for me to be that storyteller, but in another form of media, which is books, children's books in my case.
And really, I always tell people that even though I worked for really big radio companies, radio's the original startup, right? Because every single day you're reimagining the programming based off of what was happening. It's like you couldn't just plan for 18 months.
No.
Whatever was going on in the news cycle, if there's a new pope, you'd need to talk about it on the radio. You'd have to come up with content and things like that. So, that was your first lesson, right? No, explain to me like how you got the courage to go ask for a job. And then I know while you were working in radio, I feel like life comes in cycles, right?
Yeah.
You probably would hit a ceiling, have to find that spot again and again.
So I had enrolled at Cerritos Community College at my mom's request. She was like, all your girlfriends got accepted to Cal State universities, and you're the only one that's not going to a school. Like, I didn't come to this country for you to just kind of go gag-a-lagging and try to find yourself. If you don't understand what you want, you at least need to enroll in a community college and, like, do it now. And I'm like, fine. So I went, I enrolled, but in my head at the time, I'm like, I'll enroll in the dumb, silly, stupid classes. But I didn't know that those dumb, silly, stupid classes are part of who I am, which was, like, photography, screenwriting, radio, communications. At that time, they sound dumb. It's like, that's who I am. There's nothing dumb about it. So I enrolled at community college, and then I got a job at JCPenney, and my love of music led me to work at the Warehouse Music Store. There used to be music stores back then. And I had a blast, and I was also interning twice a week at KISS. And I hit a wall after 3 years of interning and working at JCPenney. And I was just like, I don't want to work at retail my whole life. I don't know what I want to do in college. I'm taking these classes that I love and enjoy, but I don't know. So you need to find the courage, Patty, to go ask for a job. And I had to like talk to myself a lot. I'm like this 20-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid, no mentorship. Like, I didn't have anyone to talk to. Everyone in my hood, it's not talking about these dreams that I have in my heart. Like, we're not talking about these dreams. We're not, like, this is not normal conversations we're having. And trying to explain to my mom, an immigrant from Mexico, like, what I want to do, to her, like, that's foreign. Like, it was just like, you're dreaming, Patty. Like, there's not a job for you there. So I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it. But first I went to my mom with tears in my eyes. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to quit JCPenney. And I know you're a single mom and we are depending on that income. But I have to find the courage inside me to go toward the dreams that I have. And then she's like, whatever you need to do, I'll start paying your insurance payment, and we'll figure it out. But just go. And I went, and Kevin Seki, who was my boss at that time, he's like, wait, you're not hired? I'm like, so you've been here for 3 years? And he's like, seriously? And I was like, seriously.
And were you on the interning for free 99 plan? You weren't even, oh my God. That's how they used to do it.
Not even for school credit.
Whoa.
I was
3 years.
But again, it just shows that I was down to do it because I loved it.
Yeah.
And
Seki.
He had no idea. So he's like,
we were still there getting paid.
Yeah, it was like pennies. It was like below minimum wage. But he's like, why? And then he made it so hard on me. Like, I remember he almost tried to, like, humiliate me, that jackass.
Oh.
He's like, why would I hire you? He's like, do you even know the numbers for the offices? What were they called?
The request line?
Not request lines, but extensions.
Oh, the extensions.
He's like, do you even know? Do you even know the president's extension, which is like Roy, at the time, Roy Laughlin.
Don't want to.
I was like, and then I was like, you know what? I don't know them. And I walked and I went home. I actually took a copy of the extensions of everybody, and I went home and I fucking memorized all of them.
Oh, Patty.
And I came back the next day and I was like, quiz me. And he just looked at me like, you memorized them? I'm like, yeah, I really want the job. And that was it.
My goodness. First of all, let's make some noise for Patty. So powerful. And it makes me emotional too, because I think that growing up working in radio, there was a lot of hazing, right? And, whether you didn't feel like you belonged, right? And nobody maybe look like you, or even as women in radio, it could be tough sometimes. But if there was a young Patty Rodriguez showing up somewhere where she was in a similar situation, right, and didn't feel like she belonged, had imposter syndrome, what would you tell her? Next generation.
I mean, I think I would validate her feelings because they're very much part of many of our environment and how we grow up. But I would help her understand that while they're very much part of her feelings, there is so much value in her. And the reality is that dreams are supposed to be difficult. If they were easy, everybody would do it. That's why dreams are so special, because the journey to that dream is understanding who you are. And that is the imposter syndrome. That is the feeling of feeling that you don't belong in these rooms or spaces. That is your voice cracking. But even with all that, you power through whatever barriers you have. And we all know that it's not the dream. It's the journey. It's the tears. It's the sleepless nights. It's finding courage to do things that we just wouldn't do, or getting out of our comfort zone. That's what I would tell her. I'm like, enjoy the journey. Let it hurt. Feel that pain.
Yeah.
Because it fucking feels good.
Yeah. It's like a good workout, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, God, like, I have that all in me? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, and then, 20 years, you literally grew up at the radio station, and, morning shows changed, your roles changed. And along the way, while you were still at the radio station, talk about how you had this vision for your company.
So while working with Ryan as a producer for the morning show, I became pregnant with my first son 15 years ago. He's now 14. And I started thinking about the person that I wanted to be for him. And I also started thinking about little me and who I needed at that time. Who did little Patty need, or what did little Patty need? And as a storyteller, I've always been fascinated by children's books. And there's so much depth and rawness and understanding of the human experience in 32 pages. And the illustrations, like it's, to me, it's like a cinematic experience, a good children's book. And being pregnant, it's like, okay, what did I need? What did little Patty need? She needed books that reflected and celebrated who she is. And there's things about my own childhood that I don't want my child to go through. And one of them is, I don't ever want him to feel ashamed for being Mexican American or for having a brown skin. I want him to be really proud and not see it. I don't want him to take the way it took me so many years to love myself and love my identity and my culture. I didn't want him to ever carry that weight, but instead see it as like, something to be proud of and part of who he is, and just a reflection of his family. So I thought about creating not just children's books, but bilingual books that really felt authentic and spoke to this American Latino experience. And I was like, well, fuck, what do I do with this idea? And I started kind of Googling what the steps were. And that's when I decided to write a manuscript for the first book. And then I started sending out letters to publishers.
And that's where this really resonates, because I know your story, how no is the yes, right? When you were reaching out to publishers about this idea and sending it out, what happened?
I felt so good about it when I was writing these letters and like licking the stamp on the envelope. And I was like, dude, this is a done deal. Like, you have this fucking idea. It's like a genius idea. Children's book, board books, beautiful illustrations in English and Spanish. There's no books out there in the market. Like, they're going to open this, the editor at this publisher, and they're going to be like, done, call Patty. Let's have her sign a contract ASAP. Like, that was like, for like a quick minute, I was just like, done deal. Then I get an email from an editor from a publisher who I was like, that was my dream publisher. And she's just like, we kind of like the idea, but we just feel like, can you give me more information? So I drove to Michael's and I created like a full book of how I envisioned the book to look like. And I mailed it to her. I was like, this is kind of what I envisioned. And I was like, she can't say no. This is like so beautiful. Like I made it all cute. I really went above and beyond. And then I made myself an extra copy because I'm like, okay, if she's asking for something like this, other publishers are going to ask for the same thing too. So I'm like, okay, I'll make 2 copies, one for her, one for me. And then she emailed me back and she's like, you know what? I kind of see where you're getting at, but this idea is still all over the place. Just, I wish you the best of luck and I hope you can prove me wrong. And that was one. And then the no's started coming in. And I had just had my son. So I was really going through postpartum depression. And I started believing these letters. Like, you know what? Who the hell do I think I am that I could be a writer, that could have an idea? Like, you know what? Maybe they're right. They're the editors. They're in these positions for a reason. They know better than I do. Like, this was this little voice in my head actually saying this to me. So I put everything, the manuscript, my little, my mock-up book, put it in my little box, and I just tucked it away and forgot about it completely. Like, it was done. No, it was never gonna come back into the world anymore. And one day, driving home from the studio, I see police cars. Okay, I keep driving, on my street. I'm like, oh, it's in Linwood, Southeast Lake. It's common to see that. Maybe something happened. It's common to see it. I didn't even flinch. Then I see fire trucks. Common to see it. I didn't flinch. Keep driving closer to the house. I'm like, wait, they're actually in front of my house. And then I realized that my house was on fire. And I remember just in the middle of the street, leaving the car on and just running as fast as I could to the house because I had no idea if anybody was home. And this police officer stops me and he's like, ma'am, do you live here? He's like, this is my house. He's like, do you know if anyone's home? I'm like, I don't know. And he said, well, just wait here. He sat me down on the sidewalk for what felt like hours. And he comes back. I'm texting all everyone, my mom, my son's at the beach. Thank God at that time he was 3 years old. And everyone's like, we're all okay. And I was like, you guys have to get here fast. There's no house anymore. It's gone. And that day we lost everything. I had just bought that house for my mom a year ago.
Which I know had to be really hard this year, right?
Yeah.
And you were a really big supporter for a lot of people that went through losing their homes and the fires in LA. I'm sure that made you relive everything.
Oh, I got PTSD.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those feelings that unless you go through it, you can't really, there's no words to explain it. Just losing everything you ever worked for, all your aspirations and memories, everything gone in a matter of minutes. The fire, it was only 10 minutes and it ate everything.
Do you know what happened?
To this day, we don't know. It was an older home. I had just bought it for my mom a few months because it was right after the recession. So we had lost our home and we had nowhere to go. So it's like, Mom, I have a few $1,000s in my bank account. Let's start again. So it really felt like I was really angry, Julie, at God.
Yeah.
I was so mad at God.
Yeah.
I was like...
For good reason.
2 years ago, we were homeless. I get back on my feet. I'm a single mom. It's just like I can't catch a freaking break. God, why right now? Why is this happening? I was so mad that night in the hotel. And I just looked at my 3-year-old son. And for a few weeks, I was just in a really dark space. And I don't know, again, it was probably my future self tapping. And we went back to the house because we had to start doing cleanup, part of the process. And we're looking at just going through things. And the box where I had the manuscript and the little book that I had created was melted. But I could, all the pages were melted into the plastic box. Mm-hmm. And I saw what was left of that. And I was like, this is a sign from you, God, huh? This is it. You're telling me, you needed to take everything away from me so I can see what I needed to do. So I was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm going to fucking find a way to publish my book.
Yeah.
And I started calling publishers. Again, this time it was like, I felt more courageous. I don't even know what it became like over me. I actually started picking up the phone and dialing the number. And I talked to a publisher, an indie publisher, and I was like telling them what my idea was. And he said on the other end, he's like, look, publishing is really hard, especially for the market that you're trying to create these books. Like, 'cause the reality is that Latinos don't buy books for their kids. I was just like, you know what? This is what I needed.
Maybe that's because there's no books out there.
I was like, you know what? This is what I needed to hear. And something happened to me that instead of that negative voice that I had a year prior, like it just shifted. And God was like, Patty, you have to do it. You have to find a way. And with my insurance money, I called my best friend from junior high and high school. And I said, I have this idea for children's books. They don't exist in the market. They're going to be high quality. They're going to be beautiful. They're going to Target's going to want the books. The museums are going to want these books. And she's like, I'm in. Let's do it. That same night. It was like via text message. Then I was like, we'll go 50-50. This is how much money I have for my insurance. And in 3 months, we published 3 children's books. And in 6 months, Target called us.
Wow. How did you, when you published the books, how did you first even get them out there? Like, how did you get the word out? Where were you distributing them?
So our first event was at the East LA Community College. There was a book festival that it's put together by Edward James Olmos. And we didn't have any books. All I had was, I blew up the cover of our first book to, just show the cover. And then it wasn't to sell. It was just to pass out flyers of, this is what's coming up.
Yeah.
We have a shipment coming in a month. Go to our website and you'll be able to buy it there in a month from now. But people started asking if they can pre-order the book. And I was like, well, we don't have a swiper. We don't have anything to do a POS right now. But there was a Staples across the street. And I was like, you know what? I'll be back. I'm going to go to Staples. I got a little receipt book with a carbon copy. And then I got a quarter. And I said, look, we'll take your order right now. I'll just get a copy of your credit card. And I started with the quarter to get a copy of the credit card. I'm like, here's your receipt. If you don't hear from us in a month, here's my phone number.
That's wild.
And we sold 300 books that day.
300 books. Man, it's so amazing, what you did. And just even the representation, right, of people being able to see themselves in the books. I'll never forget once I volunteered at a place called Home a long time, and they had a Selena Day, and they were showing the movie outside, and Patty and Lil Libros have a Selena book, and she had a stand-up, and it was just a stand-up of the character from the book, and she let me take it down to a place called Home, and there were lines and lines and lines of everybody wanting to take a picture with that Lil Libros stand-up. I want to get to the point in a second where you became brave enough to take the next step and actually leave this position at the radio station. But I also want to give you your flowers when we talk about representation and what your voice really meant to LA, right? Again, this was a really special era for radio. It was before streaming and after. I left a little before you did. But Patty, you were such an important voice to so many people. I don't know if you know, there's actually Patty Rodriguez Day in Los Angeles. What day is it?
It is February 18th.
And Patty was always the go-to, the expert. I remember somebody wanted me to interview Juanes. I'm like, come on, Patty, you're coming with me.
I think as a producer for that show, which for a very long time, it was the number one radio show in the world.
Yeah.
With, a host that was the number one host in the world. So it just really it felt like a dream to wake up every morning and be in the part of this amazing team. And then 2, as a producer, connecting the dots was my favorite and most fulfilling part of it all, of being able to find these incredible stories within my community and being able to open the door to a space where we were not part of or even invited to.
Yeah.
And to be that bridge just felt like this is what makes me happy. And I was, being able to bring in music artists on the show, actors, writers, community leaders, local business owners, and give them a space in this humongous show was just like, this is my joy. This, I really felt like God had put me there for that reason. And it just made me the happiest.
Well, and then when you talk about the no is the yes, I was able to witness, you were putting in so much work, you are making such a big impact, and it's really fair to want to be acknowledged, right? Or to continue to grow after so long, but you didn't always get a yes. How did your no in that situation inspire you to take a leap and actually leave the Ryan Seacrest Show?
Yeah, I think after the fire, there was a shift in my mindset. I think the fire was the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Which is crazy to say.
It's wild, but it really was. It was like a rebirth. It allowed me to get to know something in me that I didn't know existed. And one of them was shifting a mindset from being a victim to being the main character of your own universe. And do everything with love, intentional love, and no longer be a passenger to my life, in my life. And I was like, I am the driver. And when I changed that mindset and became intentional and give love intentionally in everything that I did, everything changed. Target called, then Barnes & Noble called. People started calling. Opportunities started opening up outside of radio that I didn't even know were even possible.
Yeah.
And I started growing. And there was this light in me that I think just outgrew the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to make the decision of I am too big for this show now. There's so much more for me to give. And it's okay to let go.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say goodbye. And that experience and everyone in part of that team, in my story, they all did their part. And it's time to create a new story. And that's how I was able to, and it was really hard for me to do because I just love connecting the dots with my community and the show. But I know that as a mom to two children, I also wanted more time with my children and have that privilege that my mom didn't have with me, was just to spend time and watch my kids grow.
Yeah, because you were hustling.
Yeah.
You were at work by 4 a.m. and then after, you'd be working all day and then be on call to do prep at night if anything changed. And then you were running an entire company on the side.
But it didn't feel heavy because, again, it's like when you're running on intentional love, it doesn't feel heavy. There's no resentment of having your hands in all these cookie jars. It just felt like, it's just like, we have to stop resisting and realize that everything and everyone is just a mirror of who we are. And I knew that I just had to let go and give 100% of myself to my company. And when I did that, more doors even opened. It's like just letting go.
So I want to talk about where Lil Libros is at today, and you've got some exciting news about some things coming up. But I want to remind everyone, jump in. We're going to do some questions with Patty too. So if you're in the project, go to the discussion and you can drop your questions there, and we'll take a few questions from the group too.
FYI is an AI-powered messenger and productivity platform crafted for creatives and their teams. Focus your ideas with your collaborators using an encrypted messenger, develop your vision, utilizing media-rich project tools, and bring those ideas to life by sharing them with the world. With the AI personas in the FYI app serving as your creative co-pilots, you can ask FYI.AI to draft stories, song lyrics, product descriptions, marketing copy, or any written content and see the results within seconds. Download FYI today for free. Now available in the App Store and on Google Play.
So Lil Libros now, like from the outside looking in, it has grown so massively. I mean, I see it in airports. I see it in museums. I see it everywhere. I know how many books we have at our house, an insane amount. How many titles have you released? And you've had investors in the company. I'm one.
You're an investor.
I'm an investor. I got the certificate. Like, what's the lay of the land with Lil Libros today in 2025?
So just like as a startup, you need to raise capital. And at that time, or, as some of you may know, raising capital, it's, you have very limited options. One of them is you go to the bank and you ask for a loan and you have to give your left kidney for that loan, collateral. And even with that left kidney, like the interest rate is just so high, they make it nearly impossible. And then unless you have a rich uncle in the East Coast, you're not going to get a check for $1 million from Aunt Kelly. And then the other option is venture capitalists. And, to be fair and honest with myself, it was that VC was a little scary. And we're sitting up meeting with some of them and these conversations with them. It just felt like, one, it's like it's a man's world, and it just felt like these conversations were just like there's two girls walking in these rooms. They're just someone like they were mocking us, and it just didn't feel right. I'm like, why would I give a chunk of my company to these men who are making us feel this way in exchange for X amount of millions of dollars? Like it felt like it's just gross. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to put a pin on this, and I'm going to allow God to just lead the way like he always has with me. God, you're going to send me a sign. I'm going to be open to whatever it is that you're going to send me, and we're going to figure it out. I'm going to raise this money, but it's going to be the right way. Then one night during the pandemic, I'm at home watching a show on Netflix called Club de Cuervos. I don't know if anybody has seen this show, but it's a Mexican TV show. It's an amazing show on Netflix. And it's about two siblings who inherit the family soccer team after the dad passes away. Mm. So it's like all this drama with the two siblings throughout the season, not just with themselves, but with the team, the players, contract, etc. And at the end of the show, after everything's said and done, they realize that the team actually belongs to the town and the community. And they decide to sell the team to the town, to the fans. And I'm just like in bed with my mouth wide open. I'm like, this is the sign, God. I'm supposed to sell my company to my community, to the people that believed on me when I didn't even have a book. It was raining that day, and I was just selling you my book from a flyer. That's the people that deserve it. And Black and brown communities, we don't have opportunities to generational wealth as other groups may have. And we don't understand the concept that generational wealth is built with ownership and assets. And generational wealth is built when community and businesses are owned by us. And I really felt like this was bigger than me. And I decided to give 20% to the community. And we raised $2.5 million in 4 days.
In 4 days?
Yeah.
But what was the vehicle that you did that on?
So,
I mean, it wasn't.
So thank you to President Obama, actually. Because when he was in office, he signed a bill that allowed regular folks who are not credited investors. So for those that don't know about investing, so there's like this thing, like if you want to be an investor for a startup, you have to be a accredited investor, meaning that you have to have one of two things. Have $1 million in assets, not including your main home, or making over $250,000 a year. So for Black and brown communities, that is just, it's neither or. Like we just don't have, many of us don't have that. So we were not in the party, you know? So Obama changed it, which allowed anyone now to be able to invest in startups regardless of the situation. You don't need to have $1 million in assets, and you don't have to make $200,000 plus a year.
And what was the platform you used?
We use WeFunder.
WeFunder.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So it really democratizes the idea of generational wealth by investing not only in companies that you love and support, but also in companies that are going to continue growing. And that's how you build generational wealth. And I went on my Instagram, scared shitless. I'm like, I don't even know how this is going to happen. But you know what? Here's my story. Here's what I believe in. We could have gone to VCs, but we're going to give you the company because, you know, you already buy our books. You're already spending money with us. Like, it's a no-brainer. Just now you get to own it. You're not just a consumer anymore. You're now an owner.
That's really powerful. Okay, here's a question. What does the future look like for Lil Libros, and what's your next big dream?
My next big dream is to own a ranch with my children and turn off my phone. But what's happening with Lil Libros right now, we're working on amazing partnerships with our retailers, looking at continuing the story with non-book products like apparel and home goods. Just like, you know, what would that look like, bringing these characters to life in other ways? So, and animation, I think it's a clear course to what we're doing. There's a huge void. And the last thing that was bilingual that resonated was Dora the Explorer. So we feel like there's a huge space, a void there to fill, and we're looking at doing that now.
I love it. Okay, Lucy's on Long Beach or King Taco? What's your go-to in Linwood?
Oh, King Taco.
Okay.
Always and forever.
Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then you're going to get to answer these in the app yourself, okay? Your story is so incredibly inspiring. Sozy wants to know, as you started your own business, what do you wish you knew earlier that would help with a newly started business? Like, do you wish you knew more about money management, marketing? Any tips?
I think if I knew anything, I would have done nothing. So I think it's better to go blind into these situations, because the more you know, you're like, I'm not jumping in the water. I'm fine. Yeah, honestly, I think it's just it's better to know, be very naive about this. I think for me, that was just like, thank God I knew nothing and I just learned as I went. Because otherwise, I would have done nothing.
Well, and it's doing it with a beginner's mind, too.
Yeah.
Because when you are seeking advice, like you said, so many people would have told you no, but not knowing anything, like, just made you audacious and chase after it. Hey, Frankie, will you go to the front of the project? You've got some big news coming up. I want to go to that graphic that you uploaded. Let's see what's coming up. Here, tell us about this.
Oh, yes. So I'm actually receiving the Cesar Chavez Legacy Award at the end of the month, which is probably the biggest honor I've ever received. And one, like, I just feel so humble, and also, like, it's just so unreal. And this, like, actually this morning I started crying, and it's like, and I say this, like, really, like, just humbled and, like, not trying to fish any compliments, but it just feels like, what have I done to deserve this? Like, it doesn't feel real. But, like, you know, like, I think many of us, we just go out there because we see that there's a need, not just for our community, but for our younger selves, right? Like, I think we're always, subconsciously, we're always chasing or wanting to heal our inner child, everything that we do, to make that little person like proud of us.
Yeah.
And I think, we do these wonderful things and our little souls are like, fuck, that's what I get to do. Like, it's awesome.
Well, Patty, I want to thank you for coming today. And I really want to thank you for all the years that I've known you. You have constantly shown up and said, how can I help? You've always been of service. You've always been an inspiration. You've always been a great friend. And I guess one last thing, if there's anybody in this room that is getting no's and feel like they're hitting that wall, what's one last piece of advice you have for them?
I think those no's is just really life saying you that yes is inside you. And that yes starts with you. And that yes starts with acknowledging the fear that you feel. Because we all have that fear. Or like, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if, it doesn't resonate? But it's acknowledging that fear and that it's like, maybe I'm the one that's meant to build it from scratch. Because literally everything that has ever been created, someone built it from nothing.
And someone had the idea.
And was inspired by other ideas to do too. And decided to take that chance and just like, what if it does work out?
All right. Okay, Patty, I'm putting you to work. You're answering the rest of these in the app. All right, make some noise again for Patty Rodriguez.
Thanks for listening to the Culture FYI'RS Podcast. Make sure to download the FYI app, available now in the App Store and Google Play. Check out this episode's notes for a project link to this Culture FYI'RS event, including a look at more projects from the FYI community. This episode's Culture FYI'RS event was produced by FYI co-founder will.i.am, Amina Mohammed, Emily Choi, Frankie Sandoval, Juliana Rodriguez, Jafet Chavez, Julie Pilat, Lily Cam, Marcus Nielsen Calling, Ronial Madlani, Sean Kantrowitz, Shania Jafari, Taylor Wang, the FYI product team, and of course the FYI community. The podcast is edited by Rob Van Vranken. Make sure to subscribe to Culture FYI'RS wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss an episode. Learn more about FYI by visiting FYI.FYI.